and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a New York indie rocker and songwriter, community builder, and baker of all delicious thing, no other than Mr. Spencer Brill.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Spencer. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, absolutely. I live in Brooklyn. I have an awesome band. I play live shows and make music that's can be sad about kind of heavy topics. And I bake a lot of things. I just set up a baking club in my neighborhood as well recently. Always trying to learn from great books and other great art to help sort of further my own career.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and talents and wisdom to the world, Mr. Spencer. Keep up the good work and create more empowering music for the world. And today, let's talk about songwriting as a secret public journal. So tell us, what present you or fascinating you about having a secret public journal? How can be a song be both deeply personal, private confession of something meant for mass audience?
It's a great question. I think writing from a place of authenticity and from real experience is it gives a way to communicate, and connect with other people. I think music and art generally is a really great way to connect with other people and give other folks an opportunity to um, really sense things about themselves that they might not be aware of. I like to say that there's in a lot of music and other art as well, but especially in music, there can certainly be truth in the lyrical content or the meaning of the words, but not necessarily fact. So, like when I write about uh, certain heavy topics or difficult things to talk about, it's maybe not necessarily me or I when it is in the character of the song, um, but it's certainly a chance to um, you know f- share those feelings through maybe someone else's journey or find the universal feelings and commonality in that in that way.
Mr. Spencer, what are the specific tools of songwriting, metaphor, character, melody, rhythm that you use to hide your secrets in plain sight?
I'm not, I'm not trying to hide anything. Say, I'm really trying to sort of bare my soul to people near and far. But I would say that uh, one tactic I use is making for happy or sort of upbeat music sounding like chord progressions and things, but the lyrical content sort of once you scratch the surface and look a little bit deeper, it's going to be a little bit more challenging and a little bit more just sort of difficult to um, just heavier topic, heavier lyrical content. So it's like, hey, it sounds like if you're listening, it's a upbeat, happy kind of fun song, and then you listen to the words and you're like, oh, this is actually about addiction or depression or fear of dementia or or grief or what or trauma or whatever the case may be. So those are all the kinds of things that I'm trying to cover in my music.
Is there a particular line in one of your songs that feels the most directly pulled from your private journal?
um Yeah, the first single that I released is a song called "Hospital Song," and I was hospitalized with COVID in March 2020 for a week. I was thankfully not on a ventilator or anything really particularly horrible for myself, but I was in a room where a bunch of other people were going through very difficult things, and watched someone die in the room, near me. And there's a line uh, in that song in the bridge that goes, um, I see loved ones leaving voicemails for the dead. And basically, there was someone who was coding blue, so to speak, in the hospital. And I watched as their phone was ringing with like mom's name on the phone. So pretty like intense stuff, and so that was, you know, I would say there's a lot more fact in that song than some of the other songs I've written, but there's truth in all of them.
When you write, are you consciously thinking about how audience will interpret the song, or is it primarily act still of your own catharsis? Catharsis.
Catharsis, yeah. I mean, I think it's both. I mean, I think that art in general is communication, right? And so I want to communicate these feelings and these thoughts clearly, and sort of make sure that my audience understands and feels seen or understood. So, I'm hoping for shared catharsis and sort of a common feeling that would be, uh, being able to share this feeling with other people is really the most important thing for me.
Sharing your secret is something else through your music, for sure. How does the music itself, the melody, the chord progression, the key, help encode or conceal the true emotional message of the lyrics?
Yeah, I would say again I think there was some wisdom shared by other songwriters in the past that if the lyrical content and the musical content are both sad or both very happy, it's a little less interesting. It's not. It's kind of, it's kind of might be kind of boring, and will leave the listener looking to change the tune or find something else. So as far as encoding goes, I would say that again, that sort of like juxtaposition of having a um, happy music and sort of sadder lyrical content, or vice versa, where it's like very, it's sort of like happy, loving lyrics and like sort of what might sound like sadder music, sort of helps to shape that.
It's often said that the more specific a detail is, the more universal it becomes. Can you give an example of hyper specific personal detail from your writing that you found resonate most powerfully with strangers?
um, yeah, definitely. Specific is definitely the best general. Um, the details on my songs can really be, um, yeah. I try and capture universal feelings. I would say in yeah, in the same song, and hospital song, there's a the chorus is, if I make it out, I swear I'll never, never take you for granted again. And it's basically like, it's that feeling of you know making every day sort of um, feel valuable, and sort of like not taking life for granted, not taking day to day for granted. And it's really like a self talk conversation of like, you know take take care of making sure that every day is valuable, and that you're doing the right thing, doing the right thing.
So did you implement that, Mr. Spencer?
Say again.
Did you implement your self-talk to your daily life since you've been done with COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I started sort of like restarted my music career or music and songwriting interest about probably 5 6 months after I got COVID, where I thought, I just need to, life's short. You got to do what brings you passion and brings you happiness, and I've been really working to take that to heart. And some days I don't, but most of the days most of the time I think I do a pretty good job of that.
What was the most surprising or moving interpretation a fan has had of one of your songs that was completely different from your private meaning?
um so the again, I think that I've had dear friends and strangers alike reach out to me about this particular song, about Hospital Song, other songs as well, but where they say, I see myself in them. But I would say I had a friend send me a really sort of deep text message, long, lengthy text message about the feelings that he had about sort of like grief and loss in his life, and how sort of the the while his experience was not COVID related and not sort of um, sad in that way, he was certainly interested in, or certainly wanted to share with me more about the sort of other grief and other trauma that he had dealt with, and how you know the lyrics and the feeling really impacted him. Like, I remember him leaving my show pretty silent and like kind of like teary eyed, and I wanted to make sure he was okay. And then I got a lengthy text message later that was like, I was really impacted by the song, and it made me think about all these other things. Um, and that to me is just the most rewarding thing. Like, I want to move people. I want to make sure people feel the full range of emotions.
For sure. And how does your relationship to a song change over time? Does it ever feel like reading an old journal entry, or does the public ownership of it transform its meaning for you?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think the for me, it's helpful in processing stuff. So, like, when I say sort of that secret public journal, it's when I can kind of get it out of my head and it becomes a physical object, maybe, or like, even though it's just it's a digital product, maybe, but it becomes a way to sort of look at it from a third party perspective. So it becomes a little bit easier to process. It's less on my mind. It becomes an objective perspective, really. So that's a really kind of um, a fun thing that it becomes a little bit easier to reflect on, rather than it's less like intense inside of me, and more I can just sort of like easier to talk about, and sort of more share more with others about that.
As an indie rocker and songwriter, community builder, and baker, what are your short term and long term goals, Mr. Spencer?
I want to build a small army, or maybe a big army, of other co-writers and songwriters and vocalists and other musicians in and around Brooklyn and New York City, to write as many songs as possible. I want to write thousands of songs and work with everybody. So long term, I want to be a published songwriter, and get my music into TV and movies and film. I'm looking for all sorts of projects to just give my music away for free for film and TV projects. If anybody needs it, feel free to reach out. And in the short term, it's really just continuing to sort of hone my songwriting skills, and get better at all that.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Spencer, and looking forward for more success. And What would be your piece of advice for those people and out there want to be like you?
Have patience. Keep working towards a goal, and just uh, trying to rush to the end result is will leave you you know will leave for an unsustainable life, and won't be a long-term sort of successful career. So just patience, and continue to work at the craft.
Patience is virtue, people. Patience is virtue. And thank you for that advice, Mr. Spencer. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Absolutely. The book by Mike Errico is one that I love. It's a book called Music, Lyrics, and Life: A Field Guide for the Advancing Songwriter, and it's just a great way to get into songwriting, and super thorough guide, and a very sort of friendly conversational tone, but a lot of nuggets of wisdom in there.
Nuggets of wisdom, for sure. Thank you so much for that recommended book. And is there a personal cause to this method, the one you're doing right now? Does turning your private life in public art or ever feel like a violation of your own privacy?
Not at all. I think there's. I think it's a great way to talk about stuff that I think are inherently human experiences, and stuff that everybody goes through. So that's really the what I'm I like to bare my soul to the general public.
Yes, for sure. So, when writing about real people and relationships in your life, how do you navigate the ethics of that? Do you have a rule for yourself?
um, that's a great question. I've written many songs about friends and other people who are going through things that sort of resonate with me, and I've written songs for friends who I felt like needed additional help, or friends who are going through pretty severe depression, maybe. And um, as far as the ethics go, I mean, I don't really don't really have like a moral code. I won't name them in the song, and like it won't be like a this song is about this, in the lyrics is like this person who at this address, is this with this name, it's not like that at all. So I mean, it's general enough that like it's about the feeling rather than the person.
Mm, definitely. And Mr. Spencer, when writing about something else outside your genre, did you do that already?
I do, yeah.
So,
I
can you share an example?
Yeah, so I was just on an international songwriting retreat, actually, in Ireland, for a week. I just got back a few weeks ago, and it was amazing. And I wrote 5 songs in 5 days with um, writers from all over the world, like 20 other people, over the course of 5 days. And it really pushed me to write outside of my comfort zone. I wrote a lullaby, first time I've ever written a lullaby. I wrote an emo country anthem with a few other people, which is really fun, that I ended up performing. I wrote a Disney show kind of theme song, um, and worked on like sort of much sort of slower, more beautiful sort of ballad type songs as well. And my expertise, or my sort of the genre that I typically get into, is kind of hard rocking, you know, fun chord progressions type of music. And so it was a good challenge. It really pushed my boundaries out, and I learned a lot. It's really fun.
Has songwriting is a practice of externalizing your inner world function a form of therapy for you?
100%. Yeah. Um, it's no stand-in for actual therapy, but it's pretty helpful. It's just a good way to sort of like get out onto the page or into a song, like what I'm really feeling, and kind of digging into that. And writing about it and thinking about it for days or weeks or months, and seeing what the sort of the core feeling is about it, or the core issue is, and taking it from there.
Mr. Spencer, what role does omission and implication play in your secret journal? How do you decide when to leave out, trusting the listener to fill in the blanks with their own experience?
Hmm. Um, well, I think trying to write music that has a universal impact is really is an effective way to do that. I mean, going back to the question about specific being the best general, I think that the more specific you are about detail in a song, that people fill in the blanks with their own details, and will, I've heard heard examples where friends of mine have written poetry and performed it, and they refer to somebody with like hazel eyes or blue eyes or something over the course of a poem a number of times, and then they'll ask people who listened to the poem, what color was what color were the eyes of the person, of like what they were thinking of or who it was, and people would say like brown or or hazel or green or whatever the case may be, and it's like they're just when people are focused on specific details, or there's um, that connection there, they tend to um, be able to sort of like think, they'll plug in their own example, they'll plug in their own details for what those specific details are that like I might share.
Mr. Spencer, before we wrap up our discussion for today,
Mhm.
I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in the third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its fifth season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Mr. Spencer, when a song from your secret public journal is released into the world, what is your deepest hope for what it does for the listener?
I hope it gives people a chance to stop and reflect on their own feelings, and to really sort of feel more of what it's like to be human.
Yes, for sure. Authentic to be a human, Mr. Spencer Brill. Thank you so much for sharing your music to the world.
Thanks so much.
Hoping for more and more empowering music to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your music, your albums, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a website, spencerbrill.com. You can go to Spencer Brill Music on Instagram and send me a message if you're working on any awesome art and want to collaborate. I'm open for all of it. Would love to connect with everybody.
Yes, let's connect with Mr. Spencer Brill, because if you connected with him, for sure, more and more empowering melodies to come. So, Mr. Spencer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.